Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Anisa. Thank you, Professor Mitchell. Thank you, Professor Smith. We're now heading to the fun part of the webinar, some student testimonials. I understand that you must be interested in hearing from those who have experienced the program. I'll probably introduce our three amazing students / alumni who just graduated last Saturday. And my questions will focus on your experience in the program for those who have taken the internship, perhaps some few words about your internship experience, and then I'll ask you for advice to our audience about applications, about if they get into the program, what advice you have for them, and then I'll open the floor a couple of minutes for questions from the audience. So perhaps we can start with Jacob. Jacob was an EPSA executive and now is come over to the other side as a master's student, graduate student. Jacob, how has been your experience so far? You are a CCIA student. It's a different experience for sure in these unprecedented / crazy times. What would you like to share about your experience in the program so far with your colleagues?
Yeah, so as Giselle mentioned, I'm currently in the program. I'm just wrapping up the first semester right now in the CCIA stream. So far, it's been very interesting as it's not a normal year as it has been in previous years, but it's been very good so far. There's been so much support from all aspects of the faculty involved in this program, both from just like mental and emotional support, academic support, technological support as well, given that all of this is being done remotely. And it's been really amazing so far. One of the key takeaways I've gotten from this semester, at least, because I haven't had the opportunity to do the internship yet, but just getting a better grasp on Python, something I didn't really get to do much of in my undergrad, but Professor Smith's put together an amazing set of materials for you to understand Python, and it ends up being a large component of the climate data analysis courses. So, yeah.
Would it be something that you would recommend those who still have time to brush up their skills on Python to start doing?
I'd recommend it, but it's not entirely necessary. I know I've got a lot of classmates who came into the program with absolutely no background at all in climate science. I think there's one or two with a pure biology background, if I recall correctly. So it's not necessary, but I would definitely recommend it just so you're at least familiar with the basics of it.
Okay. And how about advice for those who are starting their application? Any suggestions that you may want to share?
Yeah, so I definitely recommend thinking long and hard about which stream you want to apply to, because as it was mentioned previously, there is significant differences in the number of required courses for each stream. With CCIA, I think we only have one elective for the entire year. So make sure it's something that, if you are choosing CCIA, make sure it's something you are dedicated to and focused on wanting to learn. Otherwise, it might be better to choose one of the other options.
Okay. Thank you, Jacob.
Yeah.
And perhaps now for Rebecca. Rebecca, congratulations. You've just virtually crossed the stage on Saturday. Perhaps your experience in the program as a CB student that you would like to share.
Yeah, sure. So as Gisela mentioned, just graduated, so pretty fresh as an alumni. Really enjoyed the program. I was in the CB stream, but I also took some electives that would be taken by TAS students as well. So there is a bit of flexibility there. I don't even know where to start. Like as Jacob said, it's a very supportive program, both from the administration, the faculty, and also like your peers of the other students. It's a really close-knit community. I was coming from a kind of a biology background, so I was really driven towards the CB stream, but I took a lot away from it in terms of the legislation. You know, environment is highly regulated here in Canada, so there's just so many places you can go despite which stream you end up choosing.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. And perhaps how was your experience at Public Services and Procurement Canada?
Yeah.
I know that
Yes.
you've extended your role, not the same role, different role, correct?
Yes, different role. Yeah. So I did my internship with Public Services Procurement Canada, which is a federal government department, and I was working with the Environmental Services and Contaminated Sites group. So there's a whole mix of things they do. My internship was focused in the remediation group, so it doesn't necessarily sound like a CB driven role, but I find that the program gives you kind of a wide base of skills. So it doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because it does matter. Like I really enjoyed the conservation courses, so it was important for me to take those. But it didn't close any doors necessarily in this case. And I am still working with them now, just as a environmental officer now. So similar role, I'm working on remediation projects, and I also work closely with the species at risk subject matter expert. So that is kind of CB related there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And may I ask, since we have a little bit of time, how was the remote
yeah, so true.
Working in the middle of the beginning of the pandemic? You started your internship. Any words of advice for those who are taking classes online and then thinking about, we don't know what the future holds, but how was it for you?
Yeah, so I mean, there were a few bumps in the road, obviously, but my advice would just to be very patient. I'm not sure, like Gisela said, I'm not sure what's going to happen for you for future years or this year, for example, but employers are, you know, they're willing to work with you. It was definitely strange to do it virtually because most people you're meeting for the first time in a virtual environment, but you know, you can make it work. And there's a lot of professional development in the program, and those skills carry across like to a virtual environment as well. So, you know, I kind of missed out on the in-office experience, I guess, but it was in office in my house. So they sent me everything I needed in that sense, and we made it work. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Rebecca. And now for Ricky, same questions. How was your experience with the masters? You are a TAS student. You were a TAS student. Congratulations again on your graduation. How was your experience with the masters? Something you would like to share with the rest of us?
Yeah, thanks, Gisela. My experience with the master's program was actually fantastic. I came from a chemistry background, and back then I realized that I needed to branch out a little bit more because I thought that working in the lab as a long-term career wasn't really what I was anticipating in doing. And so I had a few friends who were in this program, and some of them, they landed a job in the consultant field, and you know, it's something that I wanted to do because when I was in bachelor, I had a co-op experience, similar experience to consultant. So I came into this program, and it really pushed me to, myself, I'm not a very extrovert person. So this program really pushed me out there to get to know more other people from the consultant field, from the government field. And after exchanging some, like, they give me a lot of professional and very deep insights about what a career development pathway would be like in order to go into the consultant field. And I think that's a very valuable experience for me. If I were gonna go right into working, I wouldn't be as motivated into networking with other people as I would. So yeah, I think this program has really gave me a lot of professional insights.
Mm-hmm. And is this an advice you would give to those thinking about applying, especially those more introverts, just put themselves out there, or any other advice you would give?
Yeah.
For those who are applying and
Right. I'd say my advice would be find out what kind of jobs that other people have landed through this program, and it's also a good idea if you can ask the professors from the program or from the internship coordinator, and see if they have any other networks that you can go out there and network with, and also talk to them about. And I mean, going to school, like learning things, is it's like you're just receiving things. It's not like when you're having. I think I would learn more if I could communicate with others and network with other people and see how they came through the whole way going into their career. And I think it's yeah.
And how was your experience with the Indigenous Service Canada as their junior environmental support co-op students? Terrible name, but how was your experience in the Indigenous Service Canada?
Experience with the Indigenous Services Canada is pretty interesting, I'd say. Ever since I started, I didn't really get to see my colleagues other than my manager. We went on a field trip actually once. That was to do an in-house work. But for the other colleagues, they are really nice to me, and we established a very effective online communication tool, which was I think is effective and the best that we can do right now during this pandemic situation. And I think overall, although I'm lacking of the social interaction, but people are nice together, and we work as a team, and I really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you so much, Ricky. Perhaps for the next couple of minutes, if someone has a question for our students, perhaps we can take a couple of questions. Either write them on the chat, or raise your hand and mute yourself for the question. If not, we'll continue. We'll bore you with the application details, and then we'll open for Q&A.
Hi, I have a question.
Yep, Evelyn.
In terms of like how the courses are being delivered. I understand that like everything is delivered like remotely right now, but in the future, like, do you see it being like brought back to campus again, like next fall, I guess?
Excellent question. Perhaps Professor Mitchell.
I actually hope so. It's of course tough to tell, right? Like I thought I'd already be back in my office every day by now when I think back to last March, for example, right? So it's always tough to kind of tell into the future, but I do think that the program thrives on all the in-person contacts that say Rebecca and Ricky would have been kind of involved in until mid-March anyways, last year, ahead of them starting their internships and stuff. Do I see a possible hybrid format sometimes, like where we have some online stuff that's allows some students that are far away and interested in some coursework or full-time working and things like that in the future, now that we have some of the kind of expertise that we've gained this year going forward, possibly. So that's kind of some of the things that we're still talking about. So right now we're kind of bracketing it between all the experience we're getting this year for delivering the program online, and then all the experience we've had for a long time between delivering the program on purpose, and making the assumption that we're going to land somewhere in between that for the upcoming fall year, and then more toward whatever we hope from feedback from students provides a format to our program that's as inclusive and as welcoming to as many students as qualify for the program as possible. Hopefully I'd love to give you a great straight answer what will happen in the fall, Evelyn, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. I see. If the courses are like delivered on campus or like in person, are there any like field work?
Yes.
Okay.
There's courses that are like largely field work. And then there are a number of like the field camp, for example, is a trip away for like 10 days just doing field work the whole time.
Oh, nice.
And then there are courses like freshwater ecology and biomonitoring where the vast majority of the lab work that's associated with a course is in the field, things like
I
that.
see. Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Mitchell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions in the chat box. Perhaps I'll hold on the questions from Michaela, Natalie, and Sam. But Christine is asking for the alumni who took the undergrad UTIC program as well, and Jacob, if you want to reply this as well. She's wondering if there are any C/D level courses you would recommend, and what helped you prepare for your masters. So perhaps Professor Mitch can recommend on what courses to take, but what has helped you prepare for the masters, Jacob, Rebecca, and Ricky?
So,
okay.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So for me, I think there's two in particular that I think helped just give me a little more background before coming into CCIA. The first one, it's second year course. I think it's EESBO3, Principles of Climatology. And it's not a C or D level course, but that one really helped just give that preliminary knowledge. But D level, I think it's EESDO6, Climate Change Impact Assessment. That also gives you like the basic starting point for understanding like climate trends and how to analyze them. So those are the two that overall I would recommend.
Okay, thank you.
For me, for TAS, because I was taking some courses that were more on contaminated sites and remediation. So for undergrad level course, it will be contaminant hydrogeology. I forgot the exact code of the course, but it's contaminant hydrogeology, and I think there's another course called remediation technologies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good, thank you.
So I will say that I did not go to UTSC for my undergrad, but I do know that for the CB stream, you need to have taken conservation biology during your undergrad, a head of applied conservation biology in the master's program. So I would highly recommend taking it during your undergrad if you're interested in CB, because otherwise you need to co-take it during your first semester of your master's. And luckily for me, I took conservation biology at Western during my undergrad, so I was safe, but I know a lot of my peers were extra busy having to take that as well. So I would recommend taking that.
So it's for the undergrad, the conservation biodiversity is Bio C63. So if you have the opportunity, if you're interested in taking CB, we highly recommend that you take that course, Bio C63.